Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest episode number 122, the last episode of 2021. Christmas edition without any Christmas flair on the page or by us.
Doesn't feel like Christmas.
But it's very Christmas, trust me.
It doesn't feel like Christmas.
Hyper Christmas around here.
Doesn't feel like Christmas.
Why
It's
not,
not
Brian?
the final DCP show of the year, but it is the final SideQuest.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but the Pocket, the analog Pocket went up for pre-order again.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Didn't get it?
Yep.
Three waves that you could I pre-ordered it. Yeah, I got on the pre-order.
Okay.
There are 3 waves that I could have gotten into based on how fast I was able to pre-order it. So I bought myself a very expensive gift for next year's
2023.
Another 3090.
No, I got in on the pre-order for the analog Pocket, but I just received an email that I'm not going to get it until Q4 of 2022.
Q4. Wow.
Q4.
Literally a year away.
Yeah. Literally.
That's rough. I'm sorry to hear that, Brian.
I'm going to have to scalp one of these things, right? I'm going to have to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, so you're going to go on eBay and like pay an exorbitant fee for one?
Probably.
Then you can sell yours for $1 billion.
Yeah,
Make
for
profit.
like NFT.
Sell it
I
as an
might get
NFT,
mine.
Briar. You'll be rich.
You could take a
Ooh, now we're
photo.
talking.
You could take a photo of the eBay post with it printed out on the thing and make it an NFT. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's
That's how
photoception.
you print it. And I was
The print in
Yeah.
the thing and put the thing in there
I
as
don't
soon as
think
you
you
get
print
it.
NFTs.
No, you take a photo of the print of it being on the
okay.
eBay store. When you get it, you put it on top of that, and that's your NFT of your photo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's photoception, printception.
Photoception. Printception. Do you have a working printer?
No,
No.
I do have one.
you do.
Well, working is, we don't know. We haven't used it in a very long time.
I mean, I have a
think
I
I've
have a
used it
printer.
4 times.
I have a printer, but I'm sure that there's this date where after it goes past a certain date of ownership, it immediately snaps internally and goes,
Yeah.
the inkjets.
There's no magenta.
Yeah.
It's called the warranty. Once the warranty is over, they stopped functioning. Well, I bought an expensive one too because the boys were. I had boys in high school. They needed to be printing stuff. My wife likes to print stuff. She doesn't like to read off a computer screen, so she prints stuff instead,
Wow.
and then reads it off paper. So I bought an expensive one. It had Wi-Fi. You print from your phone. That thing worked for exactly a year and a day.
Was it an Epson?
Wow.
No, it was a Hewlett Packard.
Oh, mine was Epson. It worked.
There's
for
a
year.
name that you haven't heard in a while, I bet, unless you bought a
Hewlett
printer.
HPs.
Hewlett Packard.
Oh man, make an NFT of a picture of your broken printer.
Yeah,
Oh my
it'll
God,
be
now that's
retro.
Yeah, retro
Retro.
photoception NFT.
I bet they love retro because they like to be pompous. Like what?
Feeling a little pompous this Christmas? Treat yourself to an NFT from Briar of his broken printer.
I'm in the NFT game now, baby. I got a ton of broken shit around here. I can tell you.
Yeah, just do a whole series of broken crap
Broken
and bonfires.
retro.
Broken crap and bonfires. That could be your
Broken-
thing.
Oh my
That's-
god, I had a
that's the
huge
name of your
bonfire
drop.
yesterday.
Broken crap and bonfires.
I'm gonna register that domain.
Yeah, you need a whole meta thing about it, or not?
We
Well,
had a big old bonfire here yesterday. I was burning all that stuff that you clean up in your yard when you're doing fall cleanup. Not the
Yeah.
leaves, but sticks and stuff that fall out. Burn them all.
Burn.
The neighbor came over. He's like, "That's a big fire." I'm like, don't worry, I got a hose. He's like, "How much have you been drinking?" I've been a lot.
So
Bottle of brandy.
the neighbors immediately see Briar with a fire and they just go, "We better go make sure this is
Yeah.
okay." So they start getting nervous.
Better check in on Briar.
Honey,
Is it tall
Briar's
enough?
outside again?
Tall enough to burn the trees?
No, but it was tall enough to see over the fence. Apparently,
Wow, it's pretty tall. Yeah. Nice.
the secret is gasoline.
Right.
Yeah.
Put some gas on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's something you can't do in California. There's no burn stuff going on because things just immediately light on fire regardless around here.
yeah, it's an understandable rule. See where that's coming from, maybe.
Although it has been raining, surprisingly. Yeah.
That's
Still
good.
raining?
Tomorrow, it's going to be raining for a
Wow.
while, which is once again surprising.
I think we've had
Yeah.
rain every day since October.
Since 1998.
Since
To be fair,
1998, yeah.
it's the wettest Seattle's ever been. So
Wet
know.
Seattle.
it's wetter than usual.
That's what I go to Seattle for, is to get wet and eat dicks.
There's a new Dick's in Bellevue. You don't even have to
No
go to
way,
Seattle.
new dicks? New dicks?
Yeah, new Dick's.
Boom.
New Dick's.
They got new trash
More
cans and everything?
convenient dicks.
Yeah, convenient dicks. That's great. It's great to hear. That's good news right there.
Yeah.
Christmas news.
Christmas.
New dicks in Seattle.
Christmas news.
I read something that Seattle is one of the hardest cities in America to make new friends in. Like
Really?
if you're an import, it's hard to make new friends in Seattle.
Why it's great here.
If you moved to Seattle?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
People kind of keep to themselves more than other American cities, I'd say. They don't they don't want to talk to anyone. It's a bunch of people that just don't want to talk to you. Just don't talk to me. I won't talk to you. Leave me alone. It's great. And it's raining. Oh, it's perfect.
I feel like, aside from the rain, I feel like that's every big city.
Yeah,
It's different in the South. I feel like people are more friendly. I am white, though. People are definitely more friendly in the South. Like you go into like you go order like a burger at a restaurant, and the waitress start talking to you about her kids. You know, like conversations just start down there.
Well, so I think there's a difference between friendliness and then also making friends. You know what I mean? Because making friends,
definitely.
How do you make friends as a grown-up? Do you join like a baking club? What do you do?
Yeah, you got common interests. You join a club or something. Like totally into crochet. Love it. So then you join a crochet club and people get together to talk about crochet. Yeah?
I think that's the only way.
That's not a
Isn't
thing.
it?
I bet it is. I bet there's crochet clubs.
Yeah, because I don't know how you. There's nowhere to gather if you're an adult, right? Besides
Oh
your
God, it's
workplace.
gotta be tough right now. Where like
Yeah, that's the thing though. That's like the pandemic has created a lot of isolation. That's sucks, obviously. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sucks.
that's a bummer.
It's definitely
bars.
a
That's a
bummer.
good place to make friends, isn't it? Bars. Like
Yeah,
local
get
bars?
drunk. Get drunk with random
Maybe?
strangers. Just trust
Yeah,
random
I-
people while you're inebriated.
I thought that question was funny, Watts, but now I think it's actually like kind of hard to answer. How do you make friends right now?
Because unless you're in a class or you're at a workplace, there's just you don't have just natural conversations with people that could lead to a friendship.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
common interest groups are
It is common interest.
It's the way to find friends of the future. Like that's why online has been great for people to talk with people who are around the world over one subject. In fact, some esoteric discussion about something.
It's not been working out well for me. This whole online thing.
Not for you,
No,
Briar.
most people I don't want to eat me.
But it's a pandemic.
Watts and
so we
I
can't.
joined a group looking for delicious humans. And
You signed
apparently
up, Briar. What are you doing here?
You just drunkenly signed
This
up.
is false advertising.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
barbecue club. It was the barbecue club.
Yeah, big barbecue.
That's
Friar-
how it was advertised to me.
Friar Briar's Big Barbecue.
Friar Briars. Hold that one. That was a good idea. We gotta hold that one under the belt. It's another 6 months or so.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's right. Yeah. Pretend you heard nothing.
Oh yeah, neighborhood potlucks. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if your neighbors are cool, you could get to know them. Depends on your
I don't
neighbors.
know.
My neighbors are awesome, but they're all like 90 years old. Like literally, like
friends
the
with-
whole neighborhood.
Sounds like great friends.
Yeah, they got
Yeah,
great
you
stories.
make friends with somebody who's so close to death, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment.
Wow, you make a good point. That's,
It's like getting a dog who's like 13 years old. It's a wonderful dog.
God. Now I'm just depressed and sad. Thanks, Briar.
I'm don't know how to make friends. The last time I made a friend was in Japanese class. But
Common interest.
It was like 3 months. You have to be around people for a long time until you're like, I think I want to be their friend. I'm gonna try it out.
You don't want to make a bad friend, right? That could be hard.
And then what do? Then you're stuck with them in your common interest class. What do you do?
That's bad.
You quit.
It's hard to do a friend breakup too. Like it's almost harder to do a friend breakup than like a romantic breakup.
Like, yeah, let's
It's so much more awkward. To
you
be
just
like,
stop talking to them.
Be like, I don't like the things you say, and I'm not interested.
But what if you have like similar friends? You still see them around.
Well,
it's even worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're an asshole.
Cut off like a whole group of friends.
Yeah, you're an asshole doing the cold shoulder because you don't want to be friends with that person.
Yeah,
I think we figured out that the best thing to do is to move to Seattle and have no friends.
Seattle's the best place to be friendless.
Yeah.
Voted top in the nation.
Friendless in Seattle.
Do we have any video games to talk about? This week?
Yeah.
I
played Sifu.
All right.
Oh, man.
Sifu.
Yeah. So Sifu, they sent out some codes for early access. It was like a very specific part of the game. I think they said it was the second chapter of the first part of the game. So you don't go through the tutorial stuff.
Can you give a quick synopsis of what Sifu
Yes,
is
what
again?
Sifu is.
Yeah.
Sifu is a martial arts game that's kind of a roguelike, I think.
Oh, don't tell Briar. He'll never play it.
What? I don't know, really. I know that you beat people's ass. You beat people's ass.
Okay. Beat ass names.
And, the system that's really interesting in Sifu is as you get hurt or killed, I guess, you resurrect. And every time you resurrect, you get a little bit older. So if you keep going to the age where you die, you're dead because you're old.
Do you actually look like an old man fighting?
Yeah. It changes to reflect your age.
That's pretty great.
So there is like an end point. Like eventually you get so old that you can't fight anymore or you die, right?
Yeah.
Die of
and then you have to
old age.
start all over again.
Yeah, natural causes.
But I think... so I think I'm pretty sure that so I did 2 runs of the demo, and the demo it was the second part of Act 1. So you don't have all of the like story intro and the tutorial and all of that stuff. They just kind of throw you in with a training room and then like a short chapter. And I'm pretty sure I did it twice, and I found a key card, and I think I kept my key card on the second run, which is kind of leans towards the roguelike stuff. Kind of, or maybe more like a time loop immersive sim type of thing. So instead of
that sounds more like a Souls game where you die, you lose your souls, but you keep your loot.
Right, and everything resets.
Oh, it could be, yeah. So I was able to go to a different area because I got the key card earlier than I did the first run. But the thing that's going to sell people on the game is just the combat and how the combat feels. It feels so good. Just kicking people and punching people and getting weapons and slapping people. The combat feels great.
The combat looks
amazing.
Good
too.
Yeah, every time I've seen footage, I've been like, damn, I want to play that. That looks so cool.
Yeah, it's one of those games that's going to just be fun to play. And there are upgrade paths that you can do. Like you can unlock new moves with fists or different types of weapons because you can pick up weapons as you're roaming around. So there is an upgrade path that you can do, which is very cool.
Cool. Sounds fun.
That's good.
It's just really fun. I was like, it's just really fun.
How does it control? Is it like Tekken where each button on the controller is like one of your limbs, or is it like one button is attack, one button is jump, one button is parry? Like, how does it work? It's
kind of more like that and less like Tekken. You've got a light attack and a heavy attack, which is on your face buttons. You can run. There's a throw by pressing like 2 buttons at once. So if you parry and then press those 2 buttons, it'll throw them. And then there is a parry. And if you parry, they'll get kind of stunned, and then it opens up different moves for you to do after the parry. So it can kind of, when you watch gameplay, you can be like, oh, they're probably just button mashing, but you're really not. You have a lot of combos that you can do. You can do like down up and then triangle on the stick, which will be a sweep attack. You can do the same thing with square, and that will be like a palm hit to the face. And then you have your normal light attacks, heavy attacks, and then new moves from parries. So there's actually a lot to do with combat, and you can kick things on the floor into people, which will make them fall over. And then when you break their kind of stance, you get to do this special move where it kind of goes into a bit of a cutscene and you kick their ass in a very good way.
Okay.
In a good way, not in a bad way.
Not a bad way. Not the boring way.
What strikes me about this game so much is from watching it is how much it reminds me of like the Raid, like Redemption, like the fight scenes in that. How everything feels very kinetic. It feels very everything like there's so much impact to each one of the kicks and punches, and there's so much just visceral, like kind of like, ooh, that looked like it hurt, you know?
Yeah.
It just looks like it's gonna feel good and like be really satisfying to like pull off a combo.
Yeah, and it does.
Is it easy to play or is it pretty hard to get into? Like,
I would
how'd you
say-
feel about like learning curve?
I would say it was pretty easy to pick up because I went into the training room and it was like, okay, light attack, heavy attack, here's some like extra moves that you can do. And then I was like, okay, I tried it a little bit in the training room, figured that I mostly had it down and felt pretty good about it. I'm sure as you get further on, it will get more difficult and you'll have to pull off like the parries or the sweeps at certain times. And there are enemies who they will do low attacks and high attacks like a fighter, and you do have to like aim down on the stick and block to block those low attacks. And then there's some that have attacks that you can't block at all and will just kick your ass. But like their fist will glow or their leg will glow. So you have to do a mixture of blocking, parrying, and dodging. And yeah, I felt it was pretty easy to get into. Probably one of those games that's easy to get into, but really hard to master and do things in a cool way.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to play it. Looks really cool.
Yeah.
It's very,
well, too
very
bad for
fun.
you. It comes out in February.
It comes out February 22nd. Wait, did they move it up? I think they did move it up.
Did
right?
they? Thank God if they did.
I thought they did. I thought they moved it to early February.
They moved it to early February, but then Lost Ark was like, I'm coming out in early February. So
same.
Me too.
February is going to be insane, man.
The only negative feedback I had about Sifu was the menu. It was the brightest white I've ever seen in my entire life. I was lit up like a halo.
Ghost of Tsushima was kind of like that too, remember?
Yeah, but there's like less stuff on the screen to kind of dim it. So it's like this really bright menu, and then everything will be like on the side here, but here it's just like white. So I did say that's the one bit of feedback I gave, and they said they've heard it a lot, so they're probably going to have to do something about it. So
hopefully they tone it down.
hopefully they do something about it. But yeah, it feels great. It's one of those games that's just gonna be fun.
Nice.
Yeah,
Just
I'm looking forward to that one. That one,
fun.
as soon as I saw it, I think I saw it at E3 like a couple years ago. I don't remember at this point. You know, all this time just blends in. But like as soon as you saw it, just like it looked different, but it also somehow reminded me like of a modern beat 'em up, like Streets of Rage or Final Fight, but like
Double Dragon,
you know, much more advanced, much more modern, and
it kind of does have
a
like a Streets of Rage vibe to it, right? Because you're kind of progressing through stages, and you have the same thing where you can pick up weapons and throw them at people or use it on people. So it definitely does have a similar vibe to that, for sure.
I'm up for
it. But with an aging.
I don't want to play Streets of Rage 4 again. Damn it.
Yeah, that was great, right? Yeah, good arcadey beat 'em up is always fun. Fun to throw on.
Yeah. Just fun to play.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to have a life-changing experience in every game. Some games can just be like, this game's just fun.
Yeah. And I know, Briar, you can disagree with this, but I think roguelites really fit excellent into that category for a beat 'em up, arcadey style type of thing. Like that's the perfect roguelite formula for me.
Yeah.
Because it changes.
Depends on how they do it. I mean, roguelite is such a loose term at this point.
It is, yeah.
You know, like they apply it to almost anything where when you die, you start at the beginning.
No, that's roguelite implies that things hold over that you unlock.
Well, roguelite means it's not quite as hardcore as Rogue, the video game, in which when you died, you started at the beginning with nothing.
Yeah, I think I haven't really seen a roguelike in a long time. It's been a lot of roguelites where it's like, we don't want you to die and just lose everything and start again, and you have to do a perfect run.
It's too punishing, yeah.
Yeah,
like
and it feels good to at least unlock something on a run.
Yeah. Speaking of brutal, I've been playing a video game that's kind of old at this point. I think I mentioned this before. I got a new computer and I built like a small form factor PC for my living room, and I started playing Dark Souls on it. But when I had to send back that computer to get it repaired, so I finally got that back. So I've continued playing Dark Souls 3 on it, and I gotta say I'm really enjoying this. I just finished Demon's Souls on the PlayStation 5, so it's been interesting because that was the remake made by Blue Point. And now going back to Dark Souls, who's at From Software. This is direct from Software. It is the PC version, which does run at 60 FPS. And it, like just kind of getting ready for Elden Ring. Like I just wanted to get like kind of those chops ready to go. And I have never played Dark Souls 3, so I just wanted to like kind of see what it was all about.
Wow.
And I'm really enjoying it. Like I think this is now. I may prefer this over Bloodborne at this point. Like, there's something about it. Whereas Dark Souls, I haven't played Dark Souls 2 either, but Dark Souls 1 like really leaned into, the swords and sorceries. Like, it's kind of like it's hard to explain, right? It's like it's a dark version of like medieval Europe. Mm-hmm. Whereas Dark Souls 3, there's just more like
more fantasy
stuff, but also it feels like some of the art out of Bloodborne kind of got put into Bloodborne Dark Souls 3 a little bit, or like some of the influence of that.
Definitely.
So there's just a little bit more kind of creepiness to it. I'm really enjoying the look, the feel of it. I've beat 3 bosses so far.
Okay. Yeah,
so I'm still early.
Some really good bosses in that game. Also some really frustrating ones.
Some frustrating ones.
Oh my god.
I love the atmosphere of Dark Souls 3. It was kind of just really fun to be in those areas, and you go to village and you've got like all the villages around and you can kind of see how they lived and what they do, and it's a cool game. I like it very much.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It's nice playing one of these at 60 FPS, but I gotta say, it doesn't look as good as the Blue Point one, as Demon's Souls does. Like there's something just, I don't know if it's the textures like are kind of chunky, but man, like that Blue Point game looked good. Like it really looked.
The Blue Point one was designed to be 4K, and the previous games have not been designed to be 4K, and it shows when you play it in 4K or like have a high resolution setup. Like the texture maps definitely fall apart when you get close. From a distance, it's like, oh, it looks good, and then you get closer, and you're like, yeah, it's low res. Okay, and Bloodborne is very much so that way. A lot of low res textures.
Another thing I'm investigating right now is I pulled out my PlayStation 4 and I'm investigating putting a new jailbreak on it, because if you jailbreak it, you can get the 60 FPS version of Bloodborne.
You can
running on a PlayStation 4.
You can indeed.
And this could be good. But you need a very specific version of the PlayStation software, the firmware, to get this jailbreak to happen. So I pulled out my Pro, and that had 9.03, and you need 9.00. So I pulled out my old PlayStation original, my PlayStation Amateur, and I haven't booted it up yet to find out, because it took me a while to find it, honestly.
Yeah, would the original be able to play 60 FPS?
I was watching a video by Modern Vintage Gamer, and he said yes, we're running.
Why wasn't it 60 FPS to begin with?
I don't know. From Software, who's the guy who runs From Software? He's literally said, I prefer that Dark Souls games run at 30 FPS, but you wanted Sekiro for some reason to run at 60.
I wonder if they went for Sekiro being at 60 because of the type of combat it is. Like it's all parrying stuff.
I feel like it's probably evolution. Like he probably got pushed into it, being like, no, we want 60. No,
like,
we want 60.
Fine, whatever. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'll succeed to this demand, you gamers.
Speaking of Miyazaki, there was a kind of interview that I saw just a little bit on Twitter over the weekend, and the interview is just hilarious. So they're talking about the development, and like when you think of killing the player, do you do it because you want you want to laugh at them like, haha, you fell for it. And Miyazaki's like, no, I get this question a lot, and I'm not sadistic. I'm a huge masochist. So when I make games like these, this is how I want to be treated. I want to be killed this way. This is how I make it. And then they said, you want to be killed deep in the forest getting punched by a huge mushroom. And Miyazaki says, yes, yes. And the curse area where I get cursed. I want to be cursed. It's a really, really funny interview where he's just, both of them are just like, oh yeah, that was a good way to die, huh? Oh yeah, that was fun. I love being cursed.
Top 10 ways to die in those games.
I would argue it's more fun to survive that kind of shit, even if it's your second time through, like it already killed you, but the second time through, you're like, ha, I know you're here, block, parry, fuck you up. And like,
absolutely,
there's something really satisfying about that.
I remember one time, so it's streaming Dark Souls 3. There was this one area that I think was there was an expansion, right? For Dark Souls 3?
Yeah.
Pretty sure,
yes.
Yeah. There was an expansion area, and chat was very excited about me rolling into this one area that had like a mini boss or something. Or it was like 2 mini bosses in this area or something like that. And I just somehow luckily rolled through and perfectly timed dodges and ended up killing these guys and not dying to them. And these are like just super pain in the ass, like you're going to be stuck here for like 10 deaths at least type of mini bosses. And I just lucked my way all the way through it. Chat was pissed.
Yeah.
They were like, I'm actually upset. I'm actually pissed off and that this just happened right now.
People get excited for you to get to a really hard part of the game because they want to see you die and get frustrated and go, oh my God, what is this? And then if you don't have that experience, people are pissed.
Yeah. Like,
was it?
Well, they also want to share in
you
that.
didn't
Right?
get invaded?
What's that?
Was that another thing in Demon Souls? You streamed Demon Souls, right?
Yeah. I didn't get invaded at all.
Yeah, you went to the boss where the whole point is that it's an enemy player.
Yes.
The boss.
You didn't get invaded there?
I didn't. I was like,
so everyone's
well, that
like,
was easy.
What? That was me. That was me in chat. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
How dare you not get invaded?
How did you not get invaded? Because you played that at launch too. You would think there was tons of people.
Was it launch? Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a bug or something. Somehow I got kicked off.
Were you online? Or did you?
I'm sure it was. Yeah. So, yeah. Just somehow lucked out. Got the easy boss and not a player.
That game is a masterpiece. Demon Souls was really spectacular. Like, it's no wonder why people are so amped for Blue Point to remaster Bloodborne, right? Not that they're doing that, but that's what everybody on the internet wants them to be doing.
Yeah.
There was also before we move on from Soul stuff, there was a very short blog post from Mr. George R.R. Martin. Very short.
Yeah.
But he was just talking about how he ended up being on Elden Ring. And he just said that people at FromSoft a few years ago approached him and were interested in having him come and do some world building. So they wanted a deep, dark, resonant world to serve as the foundation. And he was like, well, I kind of just like Railroad Tycoon and Master of Orient. I don't really play those games. But when they said what kind of world and what they want him to do, he was all in on it. So he just did the world building of the foundation of all the deep, dark stuff. And he said that he's seen the game and it looks incredible. And that was really it. It's just like, yeah, they told me to come do the thing. Wanted me to build a world. Looks good. See you later.
Apparently that was a long time ago too, right?
Yeah.
Like his involvement was early and then he was done.
Yep. That is correct. But the
question for you guys.
So funny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just looking back at another part of the interview where they were talking about Blight Town, how there's fire-breathing dogs. And it was like, yeah, there's a fire-breathing dog. He's powering the elevator. Yeah, the elevator water wheel in Blight Town. It's powered by one of those fire-breathing dogs. He works so hard and it's so cute. Absolute mad lads. They're all mad.
It takes a lot of creativity to come up with those games, right? Like, there's some real crazy stuff in there.
Yeah. You know, I know that they don't use Unreal Engine, but it makes me excited for the future of like seeing Unreal Engine 5 and some of the technology that's being put in there with the movie quality assets, you know, like they did the whole The Matrix thing.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
idea
The
that
Matrix.
movie quality assets are going to become more and more common inside games. Thinking about Dark Souls or Dark Souls like games having access to that type of technology would just be insane.
And then
Like
they make a Dark Souls
photorealism?
movie.
No good.
Yeah, they use the same characters, the same assets, same boss asset in the Dark Souls movie as in the game. Like, wow.
I
Too
would
real.
love a movie because their atmosphere is so
Yes. I love a Bloodborne.
I mean, there'd be
movie.
no talking in the movie.
good. It would
all
be a
hints.
silent film. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a silent movie where a dude just walks into a castle, fucks everything up, and then leaves. It'd be like Judge Dredd, the movie, or Dredd, the movie.
Yeah. What was your question, Briar?
I got a question for you guys. Is
Mhm.
obviously it's Christmas right now. Everybody's looking for gifts, but you can't get any of the consoles. But like in a theoretical world where you walk into a Best Buy and you have like a gamer friend or a gamer family member who you know would want one of the consoles, either a Switch or a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. Which one would you buy right now? Like if you were to just walk into a Best Buy, you didn't have any of them, even for yourself. Like which one would you buy right now? Who do you think's making the best kind of like you know, I don't know, who's got the most games, who's got the best ecosystem? Which one would you guys get right now?
What?
Well, so for me, I feel like it's always a bit easier just because PlayStation makes the games I want to play. Like they just do. And so for if I was buying for myself, it would always be PlayStation. I think if I was buying for someone else, it might just be worth getting the Xbox because of Game Pass. And then even getting them a little subscription with it. You know, you get the console, it's like here's 3 months of games. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear
so
that
it-
rumor about PlayStation like opening up Plus to include like a Game Pass like service?
yes. Yep. We'll see what they end up doing
Right.
with that.
Sorry to interrupt.
But yeah, I think that's kind of what it boils down to. Maybe for a lot of people, is that Xbox is probably the best use of your money, but PlayStation does have some really good exclusives.
Mm-hmm. So
All games I love.
right. So yeah, if theoretically I didn't have access to either of them right now, but I could pick which one, I
Mhm.
am actually playing the Xbox more often right now, today, than I have been the PlayStation.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to play a new PlayStation game when it does come out because they're usually good. So obviously excited about that. But as of today, right now, actually, I think in 2021, I've played the Xbox quite a bit more than the PlayStation 5.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So I would personally go with the place for the Neo Geo 64 for Xbox Series.
Obviously.
Switch is also an option, right?
Yeah.
Switch is
good.
an option too. Ooh,
Did you guys get that email about your Switch game activity over the last year?
No, I didn't get one of those.
If I have, I haven't seen it.
Nintendo sends an email. I think they do this every year. I just got mine. And it shows you exactly what game you played for how long.
Right.
Like to a point, right? Like shows you like top 5. And then how much you played your Switch compared to last year and what games were on that list for last year too.
Nice.
So you can
Cool.
kind of compare and contrast. I wish all the companies did that. It's a little creepy though, like you know, just get into data collecting. But you know they're all doing it, so it'd be nice if they at least shared it with you in like a fun way.
They're like, hey, we're keeping track of all your data, and here's a reminder.
Oh, here you go. Here's some fun.
So let me finish my thought though. So I'm not done. So
Yeah.
I think right now, if I were to have,
I thought you said Neo Geo 64.
That's true. I did. That's a lie. As of today, right now, I think the Xbox Series X would be my pick. And if someone was asking me what to go for, like a family member, like if a family member is buying a console, especially if they're buying them for their kids or something, I think the Xbox is just unbeatable. And people like to rag on the Game Pass and say it's full of a bunch of crap games or something like that. I highly disagree. Like not all of them are going to be stellar, but you have a huge catalog of games to choose from. And they're constantly putting new stuff in there. They are taking stuff out, like Beyond Light is not in there anymore. And it told me, it was like, I don't have access to this anymore because I don't own Beyond Light. And I was like, sad trombone. So I got to go and buy that on the Xbox. But I think it's an incredible value and the future of games right now because it's so easy. And I'm not surprised if PlayStation is looking at something like that. Like they have a similar thing with Gold and like, what is it called again? The service? The
PlayStation Now?
PlayStation Now, yeah. They have Now, which you do have to pay separate, I believe. Or maybe they rolled those in together. I have no idea
anymore.
It's super confusing with them.
Yeah, they're going to wrap those together.
Yeah, they've had Now separate from Gold, so you've had to have two services that you pay for in order to get access to that. And also PlayStation Now is usually older games from years ago on PlayStation 4, so it's not the same at the moment. If they do bring in some sort of PlayStation Game Pass, that'd be great. But yeah, so anyways, that's my recommendation.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Would PC be in on that conversation at all, or do you think?
I wouldn't recommend for a new something or another. If they're used to it, if they're used to working with PCs and all that, used to the idea of if they have to swap a graphics card, then yeah, of course, or a Steam Deck or something like that. But if like my nephew, I would tell my nephew to get a Series X.
Yeah, I think for kids especially, because you're gonna save so much money as a parent, and if they can just have access to all the games. Just all the games. You have all the games. Well, not all the games, but you have a lot of games.
You have a lot of games.
And especially for a kid, like that's plenty of games. Unless your kid is like, I want the Demon Souls, mother.
That's the thing, right? It's like
Mother.
those Sony
I
exclusives are so high quality, and no other company is really like focusing on that as much. That's not true. Not no other company, but Sony makes a lot of single player experiences that you don't necessarily find anywhere else, like those big God of Wars, Horizon Zero Dawns, like those big, like single player experience that I really do like. Like I'm really looking forward to the next Horizon. I'm really looking forward to the next God of War, and I don't know that I could pick the Xbox just because I don't see anything on the Xbox's like immediate future, with the exception of I don't know, man. I don't see anything on the like right in the immediate horizon of Xbox that's going to be exclusive that like I'm really dying to play like I do on the PlayStation. I'm sure that my mind is going to change when some of those games start getting announced and released, right? But and they're on Game Pass. Like we have a Game Pass family plan here.
Yeah.
And it's really nice because like everybody can just play any of those games. And there's a lot of good games on there.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like if PlayStation didn't have these, like that's what sells the PlayStation is these single player games. Like that's the reason to buy into their console. Yeah, Returnal. Like it's only been a few of them this year, but
Ratchet and Clank.
You remember those titles, and the ones that are coming out here soon are usually groundbreaking. They are starting to release more and more on PC. Whether it's a year or two later, but
I
think they realize they can make more money with more of a market.
Weird, huh? You put the game in other places, you make more money.
Yeah. Sell it on PS5 for a couple of years and drop it on PC later.
I wonder if like the scarcity of PS5s also makes them think about that even more, because it's like how many people have PS5s, whereas how many people could play your game on PC. So it's
last month's sales numbers for Japan. I can't remember how many Switches. It was like over 100,000 Switches, right? It was like a crazy number. I don't even know if that's an exaggeration. It was a ton of Switches. 1,000 PS5s got sold in Japan last month.
Wow.
Like, so like if you're a
there's
PS5
not many people
right
with
now,
a PS5.
You're like, what are we doing here?
Jeez.
Just 1,000?
1,000 is crazy. In a place where like they buy PlayStations.
Yeah,
right?
no kidding.
Well, I think Japan has moved on to mobile gaming in a big way. So the Switch is like way more popular than PlayStation are. Yeah. And the Xbox isn't even a fucking thing over there. Right? They sell like 10 of those a year.
Yeah.
But like the PlayStation 5 being so big, like in apartments being so small in Japan, like that's a problem over there too. Like I guess there's quite a few reasons why PlayStation 5 has not been selling well in Japan. But the Switch, the Switch is a compelling console as well. It's just so old at this point that it's hard. It'd be hard for it to be my pick for the future, right?
But the
Like
OLED,
if I was only going to buy one console.
Get the OLED model.
It's got a new screen in a 5-year-old console though. It's like
it's Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, I played a lot of Nintendo this year. I played a lot of Switch this year.
What about the
Steam
Deck?
By how much I played.
Can you recommend the Steam Deck?
Steam Deck is the thing I'm looking forward to the most.
I'm
it's
so
kind of
excited.
It's the salve I'm rubbing into the wound of not getting the pocket.
Oh, I can't wait. I just look at so many of these games that are like these shorter indie games that maybe I just want to play on my own, but I don't want to sit at the PC and do it, all weekend. I want to be able to be in the living room and hang out.
Yeah.
I wonder how the Steam Deck is going to do in Japan.
Yeah.
Because
True.
I don't know the PC market there, but since it is mostly a mobile market, I wonder if that's going to legitimately put a dent into that.
Yeah, it could. You'd have access to a lot more games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the hentai games are on Steam. Wonder if they go on
Oh,
Steam.
hell yeah. And you can hold it in one hand.
Yeah, you can. You can. One-handable.
Oh man,
the Steam Deck I think is going to be really fun. I am worried about like, am I really going to want to play like new games on this thing, or is it just going to be I'm playing like little indie games? Like, is it going to be? I know it's going to be more powerful than a Switch, but like, what kind of games am I gonna actually like? Am I going to boot up Dark Souls 3 and start playing it on my Steam Deck, or I'm going to be like, I just can't take this. I want to go back to playing on a big TV.
Well, hopefully it's not a bad experience, because that's what it sounds like you're worried about more so. Is like, if you load up Dark Souls, is it going to be rough?
Right. Like, is the screen resolution going to be good enough that I can see the text?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is the frame rate going to be high enough that like I actually want to play it on there? Playing something like Cyber Shadow, I'm sure is going to be just fine.
Sure.
But what's crime going to be like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea.
Didn't they show like The Witcher 3 being on there? Like, they've been showing a bunch of games that have been.
They have been showing a bunch of games.
Yeah. So I have high hopes, but then again, Valve has kind of ditched hardware in the past. They have been known to do a few things like that, but I don't know. Even if it is just an indie title player, I'm still super excited about it, because I love playing those indie titles that basically are either not available on the Switch or have to be run at a lower frame rate on the Switch, just because like the lighting stuff is too intense for the Switch to handle. So I'm excited to play it on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, me too.
Mercado in chat just said they showed Horizon Control and Witcher 3. They all seem to run fine. Those are pretty heavy games.
Yeah, they are. Yep, and they're obviously sending out developer models for devs to test out their games and optimize and stuff. So maybe they're going to have optimizations to where if it recognizes Steam Deck, it can actually shift the UI for future titles to be more handheld friendly.
I've noticed that's something that games are getting better at doing, right? It's like you just boot them up and they automatically detect your hardware and just run at like a kind of acceptable frame rate, like right off the boot. As opposed to like even a few years ago, it's like you boot up a title and it's set to max on everything. And even on like high-end hardware, you're like, I'm getting 15 frames per second here. I need to back out of this first cutscene so I can actually watch this.
That's why I avoided streaming PC games for a long time, because when I boot it up, I have to spend like 20 minutes in the menu figuring out what settings I want to use. And I'm like, and it stresses me out. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm working on it. I don't know what to do. Start panicking.
Get 5 minutes into a game and be like, is this 60 FPS? This isn't 140. What's going on?
Yeah, and then like something feels off, and then you go back to the menu, change something, like, is that better? I don't know. Can I tell? You're just like walking around, and
the worst is like full screen just isn't working. It's like, I'm full screen. It's like, no, you're not. I'm easily alt tabbing out of here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been many times I've spent like hours before a stream just like trying to get a game to run correctly, like in an acceptable way.
Yep. The joys of
Whereas
PC
on
gaming.
Xbox and PlayStation, you just turn it on and you either choose you choose performance or frame rate mode, right? Or performance or visual mode or whatever they call it in whatever game.
It's really the only thing you need to change besides, I guess, your sensitivity in the game.
Yeah. And frankly, who's used in the 30 FPS mode anyway?
Yeah.
People taking screenshots.
Right. Magazines. Or not magazines, websites.
Magazines. Back
to
Briar's
EGM
printer.
Game Pro. You didn't get your most recent copy of Game Pro?
All right, back to the NFT. You take a picture of your stack of magazines that you have from years ago. That's the NFT right there. Retro.
Yep. Retro.
My mother moved about 4 years ago, and I had a stack of gaming magazines going back to the early 90s, like starting with EGM #1, and like every one of them for many, many years. A stack that was probably 4 feet tall of like old magazines. And she's like, "Do you want these?" I'm like, "I kind of do, but I don't want to move them. Like, where am I going to put them in my house?" Right? Like, thanks for holding them on to me, but like, or holding them on. So we threw them away. It was a week later that I found out some of those magazines are like worth hundreds of dollars.
You threw away money, Briar.
I'm so mad at myself.
Typical trust fund, baby. Throwing away money.
I'm so mad at myself. Like, they were really, like, it was probably thousands of dollars I just tossed in the trash.
Oh, that's rough.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, those magazines are nostalgic to me. I had stacks as well. I didn't have 4 feet tall stacks, but I think I told the story before where I left them by a window one night and it had rained or something. And I woke up and like my stacks of magazines were all crinkly from the rain. I was like, no, my Game Informer and Electronic Gaming Monthly, no. So bummed out about that.
But I used to pour through those magazines, just like look at everything.
Yeah,
there was like the first read through where you skip the stuff you're not interested in, and just look at the stuff you are interested in. Then there's the second read through where you go really in depth on like almost everything.
Yeah, you reread. Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, it was hard before the internet.
It was. Yeah. Scouring through walkthrough guides and stuff, trying to figure out how to get that one weapon, and then you realize that 20 hours ago you did a thing to where you can't get the weapon anymore.
Yeah, you gotta restart your game.
Yep. There was a pretty extensive blog on the PlayStation blog about Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. It's actually really cool. I wasn't sure how cool the article would be, but it's really cool. They're talking to people from Square Enix. They talk to people from Team Ninja, and really go into like what they're doing with the game. So the main guy, the Chaos guy. He
is that dude looks like he's from like Texas?
Yes. Yes, from a mall somewhere. He got scooped up.
He got scooped up from a Hot Topic.
Well, so now we know that the protagonist, Jack, is going to become Garland from the first Final Fantasy. And the Garland in Final Fantasy 1 was like the big antagonist. He was the bad guy. He's the villain. So it's kind of interesting that this story is going to be following Jack, who just starts as like this kind of normal guy, to turn into the big bad villain of a Final Fantasy game. So it's not many games that really focus on a villain. And, you know, they said in the article that there's so many villains in Final Fantasy, but they don't often have a fully fleshed out backstory. So they wanted to go back to Final Fantasy 1 to like fully flesh it out and have reasoning as to why he becomes the villain that is Garland. So they really want to make sure they make a good villain, which the best villains are ones where you go, okay, I kind of understand why you did that. It sucks, but
why did you change his name to Garland?
I don't know. Maybe it's his last name, Jack Garland.
Jack Garland. Jack Garland doesn't sound terrifying.
He sounds like a pretty cool cowboy from Texas, right? Jack Garland.
Does sound like a cool cowboy from Texas.
Son of a bitch.
Jack Garland rootin' tootin' RV sales over here, and then camp equipment off to the side.
Yes. Come on down to Garland on used cars. No credit, no problem.
So I check out. It's very interesting because they even like have videos from the original Final Fantasy 1, the first game, and then they're like, here's how we did it in this new game. So there's like the very well-known cutscene, I guess you would call it, in Final Fantasy 1 where it shows them crossing the bridge and that kind of
wasn't this
signifies the
8-bit?
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old game. I think it came out in 1987.
Yeah.
NES. They just re-released them on the on Steam and mobile though, so you can replay them. Like they redid the graphics a little bit, spruced them up a little bit. The first 3 games, I want to say.
Wasn't this they kind of botched that? They did like a weird updating on that.
I don't think so. I think it's pretty well.
Was it good?
Well liked.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't play them.
True. Yeah, I didn't.
Those old RPGs are not my thing. So
yeah, that's super cool.
They feel old.
that is interesting that they're telling the story to lead to the first villain of the Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
games. That's cool.
I read that and I was like, that's actually really cool, and even like gameplay
Garland
elements.
Auto Repair.
So will this be the first time? No, because we had like Final Fantasy 10-2 and stuff. Because if they start to try and tie in like the entire Final Fantasy world into one universe, I'm gonna call bullshit in a hurry.
Well, this is just Final Fantasy 1.
Right?
But it's
Final
just Final Fantasy 1, but instead of following the protagonist, they're following the antagonist, who is a protagonist who will turn into an antagonist.
This is suspicious activity. If they start trying to tie in Final Fantasy like they do with the Zelda, have you seen what they try and do with the Zelda timeline? Like all those games are one specific timeline. It's fucking horseshit. It's like it doesn't make any goddamn sense. If Final Fantasy tries to get on that bullshit train, I'm pulling the whistle. I'm getting off.
That's not what they're doing though.
That's suspicious.
They're just the original Final Fantasy 1 story has Garland in it, but he's the bad guy, and he's just a bad guy. He's just a villain. He's not fully fleshed out. So when they wanted to retell the story of Final Fantasy 1, the first Final Fantasy, they were like, let's focus on the journey of how he became the villain.
The first Final Fantasy.
The first.
Yeah, there's been so many.
But yeah, it even goes into like gameplay elements where they have something called Soul Burst, whereas in Final Fantasy 1, Garland had an ability called Soul of Chaos. Now you know where all the chaos and all the souling comes from.
From The Witcher.
But I do recommend checking it out because it does do side-by-side comparisons of like, here's what the character looked like in 1987, and here's what they're going to look like in 2022.
You can clearly see this is the same character.
It's like
these 4 pixels that make up a face look just like this dude, Jack Garland, the used car salesman from Texas.
It's actually really funny because they show like King of Cornelia, and the 1987 one is like a very tiny picture of him on a little 8-bit throne, and then the 2022 one is like shiny, and you see his full face, and it's gonna be cool. Yeah, it's gonna be good to see like the whole story, because I know a lot of Final Fantasy fans probably haven't played Final Fantasy 1.
Man, I didn't.
I bet not.
Yeah, my first one was Final Fantasy 3, which American version.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 3. I think Kefka was the bad guy.
Yeah. That game is still amazing.
Yeah. It holds up, right?
Yeah, I didn't finish it, but I played about 20 hours of it earlier this year after playing Final Fantasy 7, just to kind of see. I don't know. I was just curious, like if Final Fantasy 6 holds up, and it still does. It holds up great. The game, it looks great still, and it plays great still.
Yeah, I remember it had like they had dialed in that magic of how those games should look in the 16-bit realm, like Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, right? I think were those the same developers? And
yes,
and Final Fantasy 3, like those all had a visual style that was really like I feel like is sought after today by a lot of indie devs to try to recreate.
Yeah.
Before
I'll be honest with you,
up,
I'm more interested in that game now that you told me that, Watts.
Well, Garland Auto Parts.
I honestly, like, obviously, I was super into the game. It's made by Team Ninja. I love them. I would gladly give up my life for them to make the next game. You know?
Yes.
I mean, I'm still
Easy.
waiting for Dead or Alive to Beach Volleyball 4, but whatever. If this is what they got to do to get to that,
You're gonna play that on your Steam Deck.
One-handed.
One-handed volleyball Steam Deck action. Oh man.
I really like villains. So hearing that you're playing like the origin story of a villain.
I love a
Like,
good
gets
fleshed
me
out
excited.
villain. It's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah, you want
Love it.
you want a reason to know what's up with this person being the way they are.
What if he
Yeah.
starts going crazy and you're like, I don't want to be you anymore. I don't want to play anymore. You're getting a bit out of control, Mr. Chaos Man.
Why are you eating people? This is so wrong, Jesus.
Don't do it. Put the fire leg down.
no, what the heck? Why are you doing? Did you guys watch Witcher? Did you watch Witcher season 2?
Yeah, I was gonna bring this up. I'm halfway through right now.
Yeah,
No
I'm about
spoilers.
halfway through too.
If anybody watching, we're not gonna talk
Yeah,
any
no
spoilers.
spoilers. Don't panic. Don't panic.
Yeah. I think this season is better than the first season. It looks better. Like, it looks like they have more budget for sure.
Netflix was like,
And
okay, let's do this.
And also, they got rid of that weird time, like,
Right, the time
I don't know,
jumping.
what do you call that?
Time thingy.
Time
They
jumping.
were telling.
it was like,
they were telling Yennefer and Ciri's story at the same time with having Geralt go through the stuff in the first season. Yeah, they got rid of that.
yeah. Thank God, because it was confusing.
It was super confusing.
It was good. Like, season 2, I'm sorry. I've seen about 4 episodes. I think there's 8 episodes, and I am really impressed. I think the writing is tighter. I think, like, visually it looks a lot better than the first season. It looks like they have more money. I'm also watching the Wheel of Time series on Amazon, and you can see the budget gap there, like between Witcher and Wheel of Time. It's like, oh my God. It looks good.
From what I've seen so far, I am all in for the Witcher series at 100%. Like, this is what I want in a fantasy medieval type of thing going on. It's just such a rich world, and they are, like you said, the budget is there to really show this rich world of fantasy and chaos and all this stuff, and like the monsters look amazing, incredible.
And they're lucky to have Henry Cavill playing Geralt because
be lucky.
well, yeah, but also
Wash my laundry on his abs.
in interviews, he's always like, I have to, I correct them on some.
Yeah, I saw
Witcher
that.
lore,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
awesome.
like, actually,
Yeah, he's like,
not how it goes down.
yeah, he's schooling them on how the Witcher would actually do things in from the books and the games and all that, and like correcting on set. I was like, wow, this is amazing. The fact that he's so in
Incredible.
it as the main character, and also I really like the relationship between him and Ciri. It's like, it's a fascinating father-daughter story that's been developing on there. So.
Yeah, I'm glad they fixed Ciri's eyebrows because it's really distracting in season 1. They bleached her eyebrows so it looks like she didn't have any.
I did not.
They left that alone in season 2. It was weird.
I didn't pick up on the eyebrow situation.
It looks so weird.
Have you guys
My
been
wife
watching,
walked in when I was watching it, and she just says, "That man must work out like 10 hours a day."
It's because he's a gamer.
He is a gamer. He
That's why
is a gamer.
he's so fit.
Gamers are ripped.
Yeah. So really great. I can't wait to see what else. I know they're supposedly doing a bunch of seasons, which I'm 100% in. Like, I'll take all the seasons.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that they have like this season's storyline, and then also this kind of plot that is going to last multiple seasons, which I'm very interested in, with like characters ranging from around the world. I'm really like, I like where they're taking this series. It's really encouraging. I hope this lasts a long time. Netflix has every once in a while they cancel stuff a little too soon, I feel like, and this one looks like it's really popular. I hope it's getting a lot of views.
I'm pretty sure this is also popular. It was number 1 when the first season came out, and it's number 1 right now for the second season. So, like, they know that this is working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys been watching Hawkeye?
I'm 3 episodes in.
I watched a couple episodes.
I am loving Hawkeye.
Same.
An episode, what are we at? 5? What is it?
Yeah, but we decided to build up the last 3 episodes so we can watch them
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah, we binged. We didn't start right away. We binged a lot. I've been loving it. There's a dynamic between two characters, no spoilers, that I hope they go into more because I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm 3 episodes in as well, and I am absolutely loving Hawkeye. I love what they do art style wise with those worlds and how they're willing to get super creative to tell stories in the whole Marvel series when they do the TV shows, which I really appreciate. I
Yeah.
feel like that's been carried over since they started with the Scarlet Witch. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, going forward, like taking creative freedom to tell these stories in different ways. So I really appreciate that. I wish it wasn't just 6 episodes. I wish it was like a full 10 episode
Yeah, I
season or
wish it
something
was
like that.
more.
Mhm.
I wish it was more. That's my only thing. Wish there was more.
Yeah.
I only watched like the first 2 episodes. I was not impressed, but I wasn't impressed by what's the Winter Soldier one? Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the first 2 episodes either. But by the end of that, I really liked it. So I'm going to stick with it and see. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'll enjoy it more as it goes.
Sure.
What are they doing after this one? Because they're pretty much just turning these things out, right? There's almost
They
always
are.
a
What's the next Marvel TV show? I know that the next movie is the Doctor Strange one, right?
Right.
like
Multiverse
that.
of Madness. I love Doctor Strange so much.
Quick, let's
Yeah, that movie
spoil
was
the
really
new
fun.
Spider-Man real quick for everyone. All right, so here's what happens. I haven't seen it
He
yet.
wears a suit, swings from webs.
Turns out he's Spider-Man.
Turns out. Oh, She-Hulk is the next TV series,
Nice.
apparently.
Oh, that's the one that's going to have Daredevil in it too, right?
I have no
Maybe.
idea.
I think it's going to have the guy who played Daredevil from the Netflix series that everybody liked so much.
Oh.
He's going to play a lawyer because She-Hulk is a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
You look like I
Yes,
just asked you if
Briar.
you sent out all the addresses for Secret Santas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I'm really looking forward to the Disney stuff too. On
Yeah. Definitely.
Boba
with
Fett
the
is coming
out.
Mandalorian, and then Boba Fett,
Yeah.
and they got that new Obi-Wan series
They
coming.
do.
And they got Hayden Christensen to come back as Darth Vader,
Yeah.
who played
Oh,
Anakin Skywalker in the prequels.
Order
exciting stuff for Disney.
67. What was it? Order. What order was it?
60. The bad one.
I don't remember.
Order
66.
69. Yeah.
Yeah. 69.
Yeah, there is some great TV. I mean, I was expecting The Witcher to be amazing, and it is. It's hitting all the levels every time. I'm just like, yes,
Yeah,
this
there's
is
good TV.
amazing. And then Cobra Kai is going to be at the end of the month if you're a fan of that silly show, because it is totally silly. I completely
It is
understand.
amazingly silly.
And I love every bit of it being so
Yeah.
overly silly. It's amazing. Yeah, it's great stuff coming down the road for
Good stuff
TV
all
and
around.
games.
And I have seen Spider-Man, and no spoilers, but it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Is it the best film ever?
It's up
Pretty
there with
close.
the best Marvel movie. Yeah.
That's
It's one
good.
of those movies where you come out of the movie theater and someone asks you, "What did you think?" And you're like, "Did everything I wanted. So I don't know what to say. I got nothing to say. It was great. I had a good time."
100% satisfied.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, good, great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a new Expanse I
that-
haven't watched yet. That's another one I'm building up episodes because I'm definitely going to want to watch all the way through. And
Yeah,
pretty
that
much
one
was
that one went weekly. Hadn't that one been like massive dumps before?
No, they've always done weekly on that. Yeah,
It's always been weekly? Okay.
yeah. Because
Alright.
for me with the Expanse, the first season was like, I don't know if I like the show. I'm gonna like warm up to it. Let's see. And then by the end of the first season, I was like, oh, yeah, I like this show. Yeah, this is cool. And then then that point on, I was like, all these characters are amazing to me, and I want to see what happens. Like Amos. At first,
Yeah.
I thought Amos was just some dick who was just,
Yeah.
a belligerent dick. But then
He
he
car salesman from Texas.
yeah. Then he just really grew on me. I'm like, this character's amazing. I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how.
Yeah, there's a bunch of characters like that in that show.
Yeah. So exactly. That's what's going on. Is that the show? Is that the episode? Is that a last episode
I mean-
of
Is
2021?
that it?
For SideQuest, we still have DCP.
For SideQuest. And
Yeah,
that's right.
DCP on Thursday is going to be our Christmas show. So expect us to just not talk about Destiny.
Have you guys been getting packages in the mail?
I have.
I've got
it's
some
exciting. Very curious.
Pope is going to be on there. Holtz is going to be on there.
Pope's going to be
That's
there.
right.
Yep. Going to be a reunion Christmas show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hopefully Mylan got gifts.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how cheap dildos are in Australia.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
So look forward to that. That's going to be happening Thursday. That's our last DCP of the year as well. So thanks for tuning in for the year of 2021. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting year in games, right?
Yes. Yeah. Next year is looking to be nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be really crazy.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to start strong, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, watching, hanging out. Shout out to the Patreon members. Shout out to our Twitch subs. And shout out to everyone just hanging out. We appreciate it. And see you next year. Next episode, actually. Let me...
Next episode, look at calendars.
May or may not be on the 3rd. We still have to talk about that, but we'll definitely be back by the 10th for sure.
Yeah.
Because between now and then, Eric's is currently at Swole Training, Becoming the Mountain. He already is, but more mountain.
More mountain.
Right.
Double the mountain. Yeah. All right, that's the show. Thanks
I
for
wonder
watching,
if we can
everyone.
lift all three of us.
At the end of Christmas break, he will be able to. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a big bear hug around all three of us. Just, whoop.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.